You're listening to the Wise Women Podcast, Episode 4. I'm your host, Alisha Wilford, founder of Yoke and Abundance, a leadership, life, and creativity coaching business. This podcast is designed to inspire by introducing you to creative women living abundantly. I hope you'll savor Hilda's words of wisdom as much as I have. It's an honor to introduce you to my friend Hilda Tajalli. Hilda is a rising leader in her Greensboro community. She's a young woman who knows her mind, is an advocate for a number of local nonprofits, and has just begun working as a commercial real estate agent in Greensboro. I'm confident you'll love Hilda's words of wisdom as much as I have. But first, a word from our sponsor. Today's episode is brought to you by Cheney Properties. Cheney Properties has specialized in residential and commercial properties in Greensboro since 1982. Personally, when I opened my first business, Greensboro Downtown Yoga, Dawn Cheney was not only excited about my vision and mission, she was a champion for what I was trying to create and ready to offer advice around every turn. The next time I need an office space or commercial property in Greensboro, I'll be calling Cheney Properties. Cheney Properties is excited to support female entrepreneurs in Greensboro, North Carolina. Visit cheneyproperties.com, that's CHANEY, to see what's possible today. Could you state your name for me, please?
Yes, my name is Hilda Tajalli.
Hilda, how old are you?
I am 25 years old.
You're 25. What a great age.
What a great age.
Would you like an animal spirit card?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
I was really looking forward to this.
Good. If you could put your hands on the cards and take a couple big, deep breaths. And when you're ready, cut the deck with your left hand. And then flip this card over. The snake. That's a creature of the earth, I believe. I'm going to double check. Yes. So creatures of the field and forest. It's the suit of survival and instinct. The earth creatures represent our relationship to fears and habits. Are we creatures of habits or makers of our own destiny? The great earth cards lead to the answers. Okay, so the snake itself. Guardian of unawakened magic and creative potential. The snake is a symbol of our highest potential, and it is said that Chakti, our creative life force, lies dormant at the base of our spine in the form of a coiled snake. Regardless of whether this image rings true for you, it's well worth considering the amount of unawakened or untapped potential within. What would life look like if you woke it up? How can you stir it from slumber? An experienced yoga or meditation teacher can lead the way. Make haste. The snake card appears when there's no more time to waste. When in balance, prosperous, creative, charismatic. When out of balance, starts and stops many things. To bring into balance, kundalini, yoga, or meditation. How does that card land with you?
These cards are just like amazing about how they show up in my life, honestly. I definitely feel like there is potential that needs to be awakened, and I've been waiting, and my patience is completely, it's like coming to its last little bit. Because I'm ready to like start working with a firm. And so I think that's like where the potential of growth there is ready to blossom.
That's really exciting. Mm-hmm. So maybe you can tell me a little bit about your background. Who are you? And what's your background?
Sure. So like I said, my name is Hilda Tajalli. I am from Greensboro, born and raised here. I went to a private elementary school up until middle school. Then I went to public school, Guilford County. Amazing, amazing schools. I went to UNC Chapel Hill for my undergraduate degree in management and society and psychology. And then after I graduated and loved Carolina so much, my 4 years there were very special, I went to DC and lived in Arlington, worked there for 2 years, and moved back to Greensboro. I have always been really interested in leadership development, community development, giving, philanthropy, so a lot of different things make me who I am today, and I've continued to hold great relationships both professionally and personally to the people in my community and beyond. So that's me in a nutshell.
Awesome. And you're in an interesting position as far as work goes. Can you tell us like what your work is right now?
Sure. So right now I'll start from what I was doing when I was in DC and how I'm transitioning to what I'm doing now. So I was doing leadership development, corporate giving, culture and engagement was my team name within HR for a government contracting firm. And I really love the idea of community development, and I really wanted to see how I could impact a community. I was involved with the different organizations there and nonprofits in my community, but I didn't feel like I was a part of it. It's a very transient town. So I moved back to Greensboro in hopes of creating that where I put my roots down, and how this community has helped me grow and, blossom into who I am today and continue to grow taller and bigger and, putting my roots in different areas, spreading myself out. So I am recently just got my real estate license, and I am looking to work at a firm, but I want to do that to then develop Greensboro. I really want to continue. I am working with NCCJ, which is the National Conference for Community and Justice. They're an amazing nonprofit here that work with juniors and seniors in high school to work on human relations issues in schools here. So we focus on fighting bias, bigotry, and racism, which is an amazing organization, like I said. And I'm also working at Pure Barre part-time because I love wellness, and that's another community aspect. And then also with Yoke and Abundance I'm a leader for the ambassadors, which has been phenomenal, and just getting to know everyone that's part of Yoke and Abundance has been really, really special.
It's my favorite job that you have.
Thanks. Me too.
So what's one project that you're excited to be working on?
So when we were doing this at the Bias Women Wednesday panel, I was really thinking about it because I was like, what is a project I'm working on? I'm working on a lot of different things. There isn't one project that I'm like most excited about because I love everything I'm doing right now, and everything gives me so much light and fills my cup like we were saying. But I'm excited about the potential of who I'm becoming and the project of me, and being able to be open about that and getting feedback from people, and understanding what is my life about, what is my legacy. So I think that's what I'm most excited about, is really getting clear to what my path is forward.
And how are some of the ways that you go about working on the project of you?
Well, definitely getting involved with the right people, like you, helping me understand, what are my goals? What are my core values? Where do I see myself in 5 years? What do I see myself in 10 years? What fills my cup? Who are the people that are giving me energy and not bringing me down? Who are the people that I can surround myself that are going to continue to lift me up, encourage me? And, just doing informational interviews with people in my community to just see how they got started with their business, how they're going about, their daily lives, and what they find most important. And I think that's the way I'm growing, is through experience and learning, and also love. Moving back home and getting the opportunity to live with my parents as an adult has been so incredibly wonderful. And it's a precious time that I have right now because I'm able, and so fortunate and honored that my parents would take me back. But, getting the love and support from your family and community really allows you to fully focus on yourself.
To flourish.
To flourish, yes. I mean, it's all about, all your worries in the world feel like they're tiny little ants, and you can just, shoo them away because you're super focused on what you can accomplish and what makes you flourish, and don't have to worry about who's your roommate right now or how are you going to afford to pay rent. Like, it's really just what do you want and go after it. So that's a reason why I'm able to really focus on myself, because not everyone gets this opportunity, and I really am appreciative of that.
And that you were brave enough to take that opportunity to say, I really want to focus on what I want, and that's going to take a drastic change, which means moving out of my independence and back in with my parents for a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's going to allow you the platform in which you can launch your next big endeavor.
Yes, I love that.
What's something you've done recently that scared you and taken courage, but you're glad you did?
So there's been a few things, but I'll go with the most recent, and I think that's definitely moving home. Quitting my job in DC was super hard, and it took a lot of, many hours of considering all options. I had a life coach there. I talked to so many different people, did a ton of informational interviews, and then I just kind of stopped and I was like, what makes me most happy? And I realized that I wasn't happy. You have a luxurious life living in DC, making good money, living in an apartment, having friends, but was that filling my cup? And it was, but I wasn't looking at my 10-year plan. And I think that's what continues to be kind of scary, thinking about the future when you don't even know what the future will hold. And I continuously look at that, but I also try to look in the present. So it's a constant battle, but coming back here, not having a plan, starting to work with people that I had no idea who they were, what they were doing in the community, but I felt that they were going to be doing something great. So that has been really special. And taking the leap and just being like, yeah, I want to get my real estate license, and being okay with it, because I heard so many different people's opinions about what I'm doing with my life, but it comes back to what makes you happiest and what fills your cup. So I really think that continuing to do things like that and asking people for help, or asking people to just grab lunch or a drink and coffee, and just get to know them, that all helps, the process.
One of the things that I love about what you seem to do so naturally, and you've mentioned it a couple times now, are the informational interviews. And you did that in DC, and you're doing that now. Where did that idea come from? And can you maybe talk about the process that you use where did the idea come from? How do you use it now? And what's the process you use to go about doing informational interviews?
Sure. So I think the process, or the idea, came from a lot of things. But I want to say it's because of my desire to hear people's stories. And that came from Anytown, which is the camp that NCCJ hosts every summer. And that's because you're in small groups and you get to know people, and you get to really know people. Like, there are topics that you don't discuss naturally with people unless it comes up, and a lot of people shy away from those things. So I think, hearing people's stories is what really inspires me to get to know people. And just to, everyone is wise. Everyone is wise in their own ways. Everyone has their own story. Your story will never be like someone else's, but you can learn from other people. And I think that it's really, really empowering to get the opportunity to meet with some of these people. I mean, the best thing you can do for yourself is email someone, call someone, get someone to introduce you to someone else, and just be like, I would love to take you out for coffee, or I would love to go on a walk with you and just get to know you. And especially people of all ages, because I have found that I've done a lot of informational interviews with people not in my generation. And that's because I want to see how, life was so different for different generations. And I want to see how they paved their own way, and how, taking that into consideration, taking my generation and my beliefs and core values into consideration, and seeing how I can pave my own way. Everyone has their own opinions and beliefs. And so that's also been really interesting to see. It's like the idea of Sonder. Everyone around you is living their own complex lives, and just stopping for a minute and trying to hear their story.
That's great.
Did I answer your question? I know
Yes.
there's 3 parts to that.
That does answer the question. How do you prepare for an informational interview?
So to be honest, Alisha, some of the informational interviews I just got introduced, and someone was like, you need to meet with this person. And I'll just call them and meet with them. Most of the time, I'll do a little background research, LinkedIn, connect, especially if you don't know what they look like, so you can find them in a coffee shop. But I will ask them to share with me their story. And then I'll, dig deeper and be like, but why, or how did you make that work for you? What advice would you give to someone if you were in their 20s? And those things always come really natural. And I think it's because I'm naturally a facilitator and I want to encourage people to share information with me. And a lot of the times people are very open. And then there's some people that are like, okay, what other questions do you have? And I'm just like, that was it. I mean, if you want to share anything else with me, and some people are really to the point, to the answer questions and don't want to move beyond that. And some people we have conversations that go over time, because it just flows so naturally. So it's a little bit of both, but I definitely recommend going into your informational interviews with questions, going in with a purpose or intent. It's sort of like a meeting where you want an agenda, but your agenda can take you anywhere.
I love it. I love it. I think that it's a great way for those who are trying to figure out what they want to do, or if there's someone in a field that they want to be in, going and exploring with someone through an informational interview.
Absolutely. It's a great way to meet people and to kind of build your brand almost. Build who are you, what are you doing in this community? And then they're willing to connect you with other people. I mean, it's all about building your community and building your network of people that are going to support you.
When I do an informational interview, I like to try to find out what the other person needs. And I may or may not be able to help them with it, but that's in the back of my head. So if I meet someone else that can help fulfill that need, then I know who I can plug in together.
Yes.
So becoming then a piece in the greater web of my community of knowing
you're a connector.
So are you. So anybody else who wants to be a connector or is a connector, those are things that you can do to help bring value to the people that you're having these informational interviews with.
I think the hardest part about it also, I just want to add, is like maintaining those. You can go, and that's the stage I'm in now, because I did a lot of informational interviews in DC, and I didn't feel that after the meeting, I thank them, definitely always before 24 hours if you can, if not, right then afterwards. But thank them, write them a handwritten thank you card, which I know you do all the time, which I love. But email is great too, and another thing is always, paying for whoever you're taking out. You have to be the one that you're doing the asking. You
buy the tea, buy the coffee,
buy the lunch. Even if you don't have the money, you got to buy the lunch. But I found a lot of people are really willing to just take it because they're a little older, or they'll pay me back in other ways. But maintaining those relationships, like I was saying, sometimes it's like, well, I got the information I needed, and I think that was all I really needed, and it satisfied me, because I found that it's hard to that person, but if you were to call them, they might not remember you. It was 2 years ago. We met for coffee for an hour or two. It's that cross-sectionality of when do you go back to that person, or the cycle of when are they going to serve you? When can you serve them?
Yes.
So I think that be very intentional with who you try to keep up with. But, I think another thing I'm going to start doing is just do check-ins. Being like, hey, how's it going? I haven't talked to you in a while. Or, I needed a reference the other day, and I was like, I haven't talked to my CFO since I quit in November. So, reaching out to him, and he was so more than willing to talk with me and write a reference. And I was like, okay, I need to do this more often, though, because if I have references from college from my professors, but that was 3 years ago now. If I reached out to them, would it be weird? And I think they'd be more than willing to help me. But,
But
again,
they have so many students, so how do you make sure that you stay top of mind with those people?
Exactly. Yeah, just making sure they know that you're still in their life, even though it's like the stars. It's like friends are like stars. You may not always see them, but they're always there.
They're always there. I love that. Shifting gears, what's the work you most want to be doing? And are you doing it? If not, why not? What's stopping you?
So the work I want to be most doing is developing my community, and developing my community to be a place where everyone can find their full potential and really find who they are and flourish and blossom in this community without having to feel like they need to move somewhere else, without having to feel like they don't have the support system here, or the love and energy. I definitely want to be working with all types of people, and I'm doing that right now. I feel like I'm getting my hands in a lot of different organizations and doing a lot of things, and I think there's still so much more I can be doing. There's a lot of organizations that have the same mission and goal that I have in what I want to be doing, and it's knowing kind of what role you want to play, because you can't be doing everything at the same time.
Right.
And I found that out the hard way when I was like in college. I was spreading myself super thin, doing as much as I could as possible, and I had to take a step back and be like, okay, I'm never doing 5 different student-led organizations again, and having leadership roles in them. But at the same time, I know I have the energy to do that. But it's really understanding where to put most of my energy in.
Can you talk to us about that specifically, figuring out where you want to allocate your energy? Mm-hmm. Because you are doing so much, and you do what Marie Forleo calls, you're a multi-passionate entrepreneur. I don't know if you would call yourself an entrepreneur, but I see you very much as an entrepreneur and someone who is out there trying to make things happen. And because you have different organizations that you're trying to make things happen in, mm-hmm. I know, because I know you, that you're pulled in multiple directions. So what do you do to find balance, and how do you determine where your energy should go?
Absolutely. So like I was saying before, it's kind of knowing your role. So I would love to be like the co-facilitator for a lot of things, or, drive this event or do this and that and try to enhance things. But I let other people lead. And I think that's where I find like prioritization helps me. I understand my role at Pure Bar right now as a bartender, and I'm supporting the organization in ways that I can, but I know that's my role right now. But I also remember that the things I'm doing, I said yes to, and I need to put my full attention to that when I'm there, before I'm there, which has been harder recently because my multiple passion projects, or what was the term?
Multi-passionate entrepreneur.
My multi-passionate entrepreneur self is like, these things don't connect, or they do connect, and I think that's what helps a lot of people be multi-passionate. It's like they connect in some way, but mine really don't. I do higher education, I do wellness, and then I do, I guess Yoke and Ben's is more wellness, creativity,
education.
It overcompasses all of it, which definitely helps. But I think that sometimes the hardest thing is finding the time to prepare. And going back to informational interviews, is like having time to prepare questions. And even if you call someone, they're like, I can meet in the next 30 minutes, have yourself ready to go into that meeting and bring something with you to write down everything. Right. So you can ask the next question while they're talking, but really making sure you listen as well, obviously. But I definitely think that it's hard to balance time because I'm doing so much, but I definitely think when I'm there, I'm fully present. I'm not thinking about the other things I'm doing, and I'm focusing on what the mission and goal is and my role in that. How I can support someone else that's a leader. I'm going to be a follower in so many different situations, but I'm also sometimes going to be the initiator, because that's who I am. I'm an initiator. I'm a connector. I'm a logical thinker. I'm definitely process-oriented. So setting this up, for example, this podcast, knowing exactly what to do so that everything runs smoothly, for example, or having a process sheet to know, checking off the things on the list, and then seeing what else I can do to make sure that this class everyone feels welcome to come to it, and things like that.
Thank you. What would you tell your high school or college self? If you could go back and sit down little Hilda, graduating from college or graduating from high school, what would you tell her?
So I think I would tell myself, do what makes you happy, and really follow that. Follow what makes you in flow. And I had so many conversations with my psychology teachers about flow, because we learn about that in psychology.
The book Flow by Mike Csikszentmihalyi, I believe is how you pronounce his name, but he's done a ton of research around that. What does it mean for you?
For me, when I'm in flow, I'm a social being, but I'm being social with a purpose. And I think that has been hard for me recently, because I'm like, okay, you can be social with a purpose, but also you can enjoy yourself with your friends. And you don't have to have a purpose, you know? Purpose is to see someone and put a smile on someone's face. But to me, flow is definitely something that I found myself in my senior year in college. I was doing the most. I was so connected, and I loved it. I loved making people feel a part of something bigger. I think the biggest part I played my senior year was being a social chair for our senior marshals, and socially getting all the seniors in one place. And I remember people had no idea who was planning it, but I was behind the scenes, and I was facilitating the event by putting it on with my committee, which was amazing committee, had different niches in at school. But definitely, you know, being a part of something bigger, but not necessarily having to put a face with who's behind the work. And I think in college, I would tell myself to sleep a little more as well. But I think, you know, looking back, everything was amazing. I don't look back on the nights I cried because I got a C on econ tests, or, you know, like I was crying because I got 2 hours of sleep because I was doing too many organizations and too much responsibility, and that I didn't have time to study because I prioritized my student organizations before studying, which I don't recommend. But I also am so proud of myself because I learned through experience. I learned more through student-led organizations sometimes than I did with school, because I applied my knowledge, and I continue to apply that knowledge outside of school. I think my Montessori self comes out a little in that aspect.
Absolutely. Is there a piece of advice or a motto that you want to leave with listeners that maybe you use in your daily life?
Yes, I have a lot of mottos. I think today and recently I've been thinking a lot about these two, which is your wealth comes from your health. So if you are healthy, if you are focused on what serves you, what foods you can digest, not what foods you enjoy, but what foods you can digest and really serves your body and nourishes your body, that's what you need to focus on. Focus on drinking water, breathing, being in the moment, being present. It all comes wellness and health. And then also spreading love everywhere you go. Mother Teresa said this, and I have just been thinking about it more and more. And if we all spread more love and gratitude and appreciation to our surroundings and really just take a minute and observe, then we're able to fully be ourselves in that moment, I think. If you truly love yourself, you're able to spread the love.
Absolutely. You're a very creative being, and I've been saying this a lot on the podcast, but I believe that everyone's a creative being, and that even if you don't feel like you're creative, that you are still absolutely creative. I mean, it's from how we get dressed in the morning to how we decide to perform tasks at work. Mm-hmm. Even if you don't outwardly see how they're creative, how you do it is an act of creation. Mm-hmm. So what keeps you creating when you don't feel like it?
I think it's the informational interviews and being with people. Seeing, how I built this podcast. I've been listening to it a lot recently, and it gives me so much energy. I'm like, whoa, these people did some awesome things. And, being around people and hearing their story just gives me so much energy to be then creative in my own life, and learning from others.
So what theme in How I Built This has really inspired you?
I think it's the theme of The Secret. Have you heard of The Secret?
Law of attraction, baby.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Duh. I shouldn't even ask that question. But it's people really believing in themselves and being challenged to do something because they really fully believed in it. And I think that's what a lot of entrepreneurs really focus on. They're like super focused and they want to accomplish something because they believe in it and they'll fully do anything it takes. And I think that, you know, there's a lot of people that have great ideas, but they can't execute, or they don't know how to execute. And that's when you go, and like I said, creativity comes from other people for me. So maybe it's having a conversation with someone or getting connected with the right people to really bring that into fruition.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, when was a time that you felt most wise? Because you've even said yourself that all of us have seeds of wisdom and all of us are wise. And you know that I believe that. I mean, that's the reason why I've created the Wise Women Wednesday interviews, panels, podcast. So for you, when was a time that you felt most wise?
I think that recently, it hasn't been like an exact moment, but recently I feel wise because I feel like I have a clear path forward and I know what I want. And having the wisdom of knowing that you need to do something for yourself and getting the support around it makes you wise because you know how to get to where you want to go. I think I feel wise also when I think of creative ways or innovative ways to make things easier. I don't come out right and say them, but you know, feedback is crucial for every business owner, for everyone living their daily lives to be like, hey, you know, you can take out the trash the night before than having to like wake up at 5 a.m. to take it out that day. You know, just like little things that make your life easier. And I feel like not that I know how to do everything, but you know, there are things that people don't think about because it's just automatic and natural. And I feel wise when I help them do something in their lives that makes it a little easier.
Just to confirm that wisdom, you've done a phenomenal job of helping me with feedback in certain areas. And I love it every time you share your feedback on something. And sometimes I'm like, yes, that really resonates. And sometimes I think, no, not that one. But I always, always appreciate that you just give it. You think of an idea or you think of something and you are not afraid to share that. And I think some people are. So just to confirm that your wisdom is really helpful and welcome.
My honesty,
yeah.
The cold hard truth.
All of us need the cold hard truth. What would you tell a friend or a woman that's not feeling very wise or doubting herself?
I definitely think that if you're doubting yourself, you're not surrounding yourself by the people that are going to lift you higher and the people that are going to help you feel empowered. I think that I would say maybe start thinking about changing your circle or doing informational interviews to allow you to see that, you know, a lot of people don't feel very wise or they get stuck a lot of the times while they're building something or they're in different stages of their lives. I definitely think that comparison is the root of all evil. So stop comparing yourself to other people. Start really fully accepting and loving yourself for where you are, the stage of your life you're in, and where you see yourself going. If there are obstacles, find ways that other people can help you overcome them. You're not in this world alone. Find people that are going to love you and really accept you for who you are and where you want to go.
Yes. They say, I've heard the saying, comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes, yes.
So true.
Absolutely.
Hilda, what's your favorite yoga pose?
So to be fair, Alisha, I haven't done yoga in a while. And I was like, what? I used to do yoga a lot, you know, and
right.
I want to go soon. So like I need to come to one of your classes.
Tell me, what yoga pose do you find your body craving?
I love headstands. And I think it's my favorite. And I'm craving a headstand because I want to feel my core engage and really view the world upside down. And it's always one of those poses where if you haven't done yoga in a while, like sometimes I'll just like pop a headstand, but sometimes you're like, oh, my body forgot how to do this. And I fall backwards, forwards, all over the place. So I need to make sure I have enough room around me. But yeah, that's something I want to do. And I think yoga to me is really just like accepting where you are and challenging your body a little bit, but by listening to it. Like if you can't do a pose, you can't get it, but next day try again and continue trying until you can feel one with yourself.
How do you live a life of abundance?
I think that I really take to heart spreading love and being the best version of yourself for other people, but also for yourself. And I think that I live abundantly through spreading love and trying to find the good in things, being optimistic and just accepting things the way they are too, you know? You can't change everything, but you can see the light in everything. So I think, you know, taking things with gratitude and appreciation and love continue to allow me to live abundantly.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
you.
Hilda, for doing this interview.
Absolutely. Anytime.
I hope you were inspired by Hilda's words of wisdom. If you've enjoyed this podcast, head over to iTunes, give us a review, and share this podcast with your friends so we can keep bringing wise words your way. Check out our website, yokeandabundance.com, for more words of wisdom, creativity tips, and information about my group and individual coaching programs. Are you looking for a powerhouse collective of like-minded women? Then join the Yoke and Abundance Collective, a place for aspiring entrepreneurs, creatives, and seasoned business owners. In the YNA Collective, you'll get a discount on the next 3 in-person Wise Women panels, our quarterly online goal-setting sessions, online monthly masterclasses to keep you on track, and a mastermind that puts you in the hot seat to make sure you're achieving your biggest goals and dreams. For more information, visit yokeandabundance.com and visit the collective page. Now, tell us about your wise moments from this week. When did you feel most wise? Tag us on Instagram with your wise moment from the week for a chance to have your wise words shared on this podcast. Use the hashtag #IamWise and hashtag YokeAndAbundance. A huge thank you to our sponsor, Cheney Properties, and our wonderful editor and producer, Ira Sterling at Julia Sound Recordings. Remember, every one of us has wisdom within. Keep sharing your words of wisdom because you never know who you'll inspire.